welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Each Other's Soulmate. We are on season 2, episode 10, right? We are in double digit of season 2 now. My
Yeah.
goodness. And this episode is titled The Caste System. So interesting. A little bit different than our titles lately. They've been a little more erotic, to say the least. A lot of censorship on our end for that. But yeah, so this one's called The Caste System. So we have some interesting topics that we're going to go over for this episode. But yes, once again, we are each other's soulmate. We are a Sex and the City broadcast. We are two broads talking about our 4 favorite broads in New York City. So let's get into it.
Hell yeah. So, if you don't know, a caste system by definition is a social hierarchy that divides a society into classes based on factors such as religion, culture, and hereditary. People in different castes have different rights and are considered to have different levels of worthiness and purity. The caste system can dictate a person's profession, who they can marry, and other aspects of their life. So, it's
So it's kind of
very,
like a societal ladder
yeah.
in like
And
layman's terms.
yeah, and where you fall into it, above, in the middle, or below, determines how your life is going to go and
Right.
how people are going to treat you. So in this episode, we do have Samantha, who dates a man who has a servant, like an actual servant, and
Mm-hmm.
the servant acts differently when the guy is around versus when he's not. So we're gonna get into that. We have Miranda versus the golden corduroy suit.
Ugh,
So
this is a
she,
hard one. I
yeah,
we'll get into it, but for some this is a heavy hitter emotionally for me this episode.
yes. So Miranda versus Steve's golden corduroy suit. Who will win in the end? Charlotte meets a very powerful man with a very indecent request,
To say the least.
to say the fucking least. And then we have Carrie who gets in a fight with Mr. Big and ends up in,
Again.
but this time she ends up in her bed with another man. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, dude, let's get into it. So, with that in mind, we start this episode off with Carrie wanting to say, I love you to Mr. Big. They've been dating for a bit over a year
Over a
now.
year.
Yeah, it was like, what, 2 episodes ago or so that they finally, got to that year and they acknowledged it. So she's realizing it now. Like one day over breakfast, when he had like jam on his face, uh, as she cleaned it off, she realized, I want to say I love you. Like it hit her. Because, when you're
A
dating,
ye-
so
More than a
yeah,
year in. I'm still
yeah.
shocked. We were talking about this earlier. The We watched this show religiously for years, but we now doing the podcast, we're like, hey, realizing the actual timeline of this show, insane.
Mm-hmm. It really
Insane.
is. It really is. And, you know, yeah, so a little over a year in, she's ready to say, I love you. And, she even almost says it one night after they go to the ballet together and they're walking home. It like almost slips out of her mouth, but instead she like ruffles his hair and runs away. Like, yeah.
God. What
Um,
is this, high school?
Basically.
Basically, honestly.
But yeah, no, so last Friday night in the episode, Big goes to Carrie's apartment to pick her up so they can go to dinner together. And he brought her a present. And mind you, at what point in the show have we ever seen him do something like that?
I feel like this is the first time, which
Yeah.
is actually kind of crazy to me because you know what that means? That like he knew he had Carrie immediately. Men usually gift when they want
When they're
something
like
or to
courting
keep,
you.
right, or
Yeah.
to keep you in. So the fact that he knew his presence alone is all she needs.
Yeah.
Who you know what? I feel for my girl Carrie lately. I get it. It's starting to
Granted, Granted, though, the first time they almost broke up back in season one with the whole
Hmm.
dropping the Bible in the church thing, he was going to take her on a vacation to the Caribbean. So he hasn't been like not
That
doing
is
anything.
true.
But this is the first time he gave her something physical that we've seen.
Yeah. I still stand by if she went back then, their relationship might have changed.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I think if they had taken the time to kind of like
Get to know each other
a
more, or
little bit
like on that.
better, yeah. Because I don't know, how can you say I love you to someone before you go on vacation with them?
Yeah, and then he might have started to feel more comfortable and started seeing her in not just New York,
Yeah,
in all aspects of his life, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly. But so back to the present. He
yeah.
literally, and the
Yeah.
present, he gives he she opens up the present that he gave her, and it is a little purse, and it's a little diamond duck.
It's
So
cute. Let me
I
find it. Hold
yeah,
on, let me find it.
I think it's cute, but she opens it and she's looking at it, and all she can think to herself is, this is wrong. Like, it's so not
Yeah,
me.
because it's not her.
It's not her at all. Like, it just is not.
Well,
And
yeah.
she uses this moment to finally open up and say, I love you.
Hold on, this is really funny. So here's the purse, and I looked this up. I typed in Diamond Duck Purse Sex in the City, and this is what pops up.
That's it. There she is.
But then, hold on, someone then put this. It says, a shiny duck purse. Is she 5?
No, but really though, um,
Okay,
that
but
was kind we
we
learn a little
learn
bit later, yeah.
yeah, but there's the example of, there's your diamond duck
Yeah.
purse. And it's not the worst thing in the world. It's
It's
really not.
not, but it's not the best thing in the world either. Um,
Yeah.
and so she takes this moment where he gives her this present, and he's like, I thought of you when I got you this. And she's like, I love you. And he just looks stunned. He doesn't say anything about to acknowledge it either. He stands
Yeah.
up, awkwardly kisses her, and says, You're welcome, then excuses him to go outside while she finishes getting ready for dinner.
And it was like, it wasn't even that, like, the kiss was super awkward. Like, she
Yeah,
was going for lip, and he ducked between lip and forehead. Like, he didn't know what to fucking do. He had no
no,
idea what to do with that kind of like input,
no,
which is insane a year plus in.
it is. It is. Um, and Carrie tells the next day at
Well,
brunch, Carrie tells them what happened.
mhm.
And, Charlotte suggests, like, maybe he heard her say, I love it. Carrie's like, no, it
No.
was a very deliberate and distinct you. And then, like, little
Yes.
side note, I couldn't help but notice when Carrie's like showing the duck to all of her friends,
Mhm.
the duck goes with Charlotte's outfit perfectly.
That makes sense. That
I
makes
couldn't help
sense.
but notice that. And with Carrie's outfit, it just clashes completely. So couldn't help but notice that.
Well, because
Um,
Carrie's so naturally like flary in the way she dresses, and Charlotte's naturally very classy and very
Classic. I would
classic in the
also
sense of
agree.
like there's not a lot of prints. Charlotte doesn't wear a lot of prints. And then when you have something like extravagant and sparkly that go off of like neutrals, it's great.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why it works.
And Miranda asks, like, so he pretended to not hear you say it. Like, to clarify, that's what
Mhm.
happened. Carrie's like, yes. And then Carrie says that now her relationship has the shelf life of a dairy product. It's going to curdle in about a week. So she's talking about the tension that builds when one person says, I love you, and then the other
And
person
the
doesn't
other one doesn't.
reciprocate. That's a rough spot to be in. I've been in that spot before and it was awkward as hell. I did
That
not want
has
to
never happened to me as far as
no,
love goes. No.
no,
Like the I love you has only been um said to my like actual committed relationships. And I was very I yeah, I would always say it. I would always wait for the man to say it. I
girl,
would.
I'm not
Even if I
even
felt it.
joking. One time I had a guy tell me, "Well, you're not my girlfriend, but I do love you."
I mean, you can love someone without being with them. I get that.
It
That's
was
fair. But yeah, but I
it's a
will
weird
and like
position.
yeah, and like I will just wait for the natural progression of a relationship. I will make sure that that is not said until we are like we're exclusive. Like we've been dating, like you're my boyfriend, like blah blah blah. I've never said that in a talking stage ever. I have 100% been like I like someone and they don't like me back. Like
Hmm.
that's happened a bunch, but as far as I think the rejection alone of not hearing it back is what makes me be like I'm waiting until I know
Yeah.
that this is reciprocated
No,
for sure.
seriously. Oh my
So,
gosh, I feel that. My husband, he told me by accident when he did it the first time.
did he?
He
What did he
did.
say? When
It
was
was really
this?
funny actually. So it was 2 weeks after we started officially dating.
I
And
don't remember this.
yeah, so it was
See, this is why you guys are married.
so it was 2 weeks after we started dating, and we were in a backyard, and I was explaining that, okay, so tonight we're gonna have this for dinner. This is what I'm making. This is what we're gonna do afterwards, and we're gonna do all this. I was explaining the night to him, and he just like sighed and said, "I love you." And then
Oh, that wasn't an accident.
no, it was because right after that, the look of horror on his face was so real. He just went,
It wasn't an accident though. Like he felt that. It wasn't
yeah,
fake.
it wasn't fake. It was just like, I know, I could tell he hadn't intended on saying it so soon, but I was so happy. I just started jumping around and I was like, you said it. I was thinking it, but you said it.
You said it. But no, exactly. I think naturally women too like wait until we know and it's
Yeah.
like you can feel that, and like then we bring up the discussion of the whole love thing. Why is that word so well, Samantha says one of my favorite lines, but like it's a very tricky word
It
in
is.
relationships and
Well,
dating and
I think it has to do with the expectation that can come with it. Because, like you said, we ended
agreed.
up getting married,
Yeah. You
that's,
guys did so.
but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, but in Carrie's case, he pretended not
Mm.
to hear her say it, and that
That's
sucks.
devastating.
That is devastating.
That's
And
devastating.
then Samantha delivers that line, if you want to read it.
Um, oh, hold up. I'm like, where was I? I was like, I just started talking. I wasn't even going off of our lovely script that you take
Uh,
so much time to make. And I'm just like, see hee ha ha. And I'm like, hold on, what does she say? Where
she-
is she? Where's Samantha? Oh, exactly. Here we are. Here we are. It's my favorite line. She says, it's amazing. Tell a man I hate you, and you'll have the best sex of your life. Tell a man I love you, you'll probably never see him again. That's hurting my heart right now,
I
guys.
know,
That's
and it's
hurting.
like, it's wild how
It's
much
like a
that hasn't
bullet.
changed.
Right.
And
And
it's
I
men
like,
and women. It can be anybody,
yes.
but like,
Yeah. But, we talk about the
Mm.
prevalence of this between like woman to man, like and our struggles. But yeah, no, I think it's still um so prevalent. And like, I mean, I'm glad though that the rhetoric's kind of changing with women of like, I've been hearing this a lot. It makes me like glad that women are feeling this way. They're like, hey, love or be that person. And if it scares them, let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Hell yeah.
If it makes them nervous, good, but don't suppress your feelings to fit in their life, or to
No.
scare to think you're worried about them you're worried about scaring them off.
then
It's
you're
gonna
not,
happen eventually, and then
yeah,
it's not meant for you. It's not meant. So if you're just honest and you're like, this is how I feel, and they run, then they run. They're not, that's not it for you. So I'm glad that this is kind of changing of, it's not so much like, oh, hush, don't say it, be careful. It's like, give what you got. Feel
yeah,
how you feel. Give the feelings that, why are you going to suppress how you feel
yeah.
to keep someone that just wants to leave if they want to?
Well,
You're delaying the inevitable.
it's like how they say, like, if I'm too much, find somebody else who's less.
Fine, yeah, exactly. I say that all the time. If I'm too much, go find, and it's not so much less, but it's just like, go find what you need.
Yeah.
Go find what, if I can't give you what you need or whatever it is, go find it in yourself or go find it in another person.
Mm,
That's just reality, and we just need to be completely like honest and comfortable with that.
no, really. And yeah, I mean, and then Miranda, who's currently the optimist with love, is actually going really well in her relationship with Steve at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. So they even go as far as to say he worshipped her, which is a really cool position for her to be in.
Yeah, which makes
Um,
sense.
and they talk about how she only goes on dates where she knows that he can afford to pay. And then as she's telling the girls about her relationship right now with him, they pan over to her at one of the dates, and you'll note they're at a pizza place, and it looks like a really cheap New York pizza joint, with like
Mm-hmm.
paper plates and like paper cups and stuff. And if you notice, like when he asks her, "Isn't it so good?" She does the voice, the uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
then
though, it looked bomb as hell. It looked
it
like a badass big slice of pizza.
And like he even asks her how if she likes it, and she doesn't say anything. She just changes the subject.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I caught on to that. I was like,
How do
"Ooh,
you not love a like badass slice of pizza though?
I don't know." Like it's I heard it
What is
said
she?
once,
All
if
she
it
ever does in the show is complain about her $20 hamburger.
that's true. But while eating the pizza, she asks Steve if he wants to go with her to the firm dinner. So they have a dinner coming up at the law firm that she works at, and she wants him to go as her date. And she's like, "Well, it's a suit and tie event. Do you have a suit and tie?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a suit." And he's like, "It's gold." And she's like, "Gold?"
Gold?
And he's like, "Yeah, corduroy." And she just like looks at him. And personally, I would go to a function with my husband wearing a corduroy suit and be happy. I don't think you would, though.
Look,
Look.
I have rarely been in love. I do feel like when you love someone, you love them for exactly who they are, and you don't want to change them, and you don't want to change a single thing about them. You may see them like you may have preferences, right? Like you meet someone, and you're like, I really love your hair like that, but then they change it, right? Let's say they cut it, and you're like, oh, you're like, I loved your hair like this, but I still like your hair like this because you're you. Like
Yeah.
regardless of what you change on the outside,
Yeah.
you're still who you are on the inside.
Yeah. I love how it has to go that far for you to be like, no, I don't want the fucking golden corduroy suit.
If we were going to like a theme night,
What's
but
the
I know
theme?
I'd get
What theme was?
70s.
Oh.
It's corduroy.
It
I'd go fit my man in Armani. I'm sorry. I'd be like, we're going.
And that's basically what Miranda is about to do. She offers like to take him to go buy a suit.
I would do the same.
Yeah, because I don't think you're showing up at an event like that. Oh my gosh. And then next
I'm a
scene,
Leo.
so after the pizza date, the cheap pizza date, they go back to Steve's apartment. And
I
it
totally forgot about this scene when I was
uh-huh,
rewatching it.
uh-huh. And it honestly, it's very shitty and very accurate for what affordable housing actually looks like in Manhattan
For a bartender.
for a bartender. Like, yeah, it's very accurate. Like, everything's peeling something, and like the walls are stained with like mold in certain places. The TV still has bunny ears on it. Or, I'm sorry, what was it? It was rabbit ears? Or what was it?
I think it was rabbit ears, bunny ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The antenna, so you have to move them to make it work, and it's just so shitty. And
It has its charm because it's a New York apartment though, you know.
well, the apartment wasn't like messy, it was just like,
It was messy.
was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was a little
I was like
it's a
more
little
so concerned
disgruntled.
with like, yeah, disgruntled's a good word for it. I was more concerned with like the disrepair of everything, I guess. I didn't even notice the mess. Like he even
See, that's we just looking at different things.
yeah, because I was like, is that mold in your kitchen, sir? Like,
Well, those are
um,
things you can't essentially help all the time when you're living in a
in
like
a New York City,
yeah,
Manhattan,
like your
fucking,
landlord's in charge of all this and they don't fucking talk to you. So
I feel that. But it's really funny. He jokes saying that he modeled it after Robert De Niro's place in Taxi Driver.
love that. Love
And
that. Love that reference.
she just looks at him with horror, and he's like, I'm kidding. He's like, it's cheap and it's close to the
Funny.
bar. Yeah.
I know, but I'm just like, come on, Miranda, quit being so.
Well, she's not trying to be any kind of way. What she's
Yeah, I know.
experiencing right now is yuppie guilt. So, and I and appreciate that they mentioned that because, while these characters are relatable, at the end of the day, what it boils down to, they are like upper middle class white ladies
You
in
know
New
what
York City.
right. However, it does make you start to understand their kind of backstories without us really getting them because it just shows Miranda didn't grow up in poverty.
She didn't.
Charlotte didn't. Carrie
Nope.
didn't. The only one who technically did is Samantha because we learn like
Yeah.
seasons later she's like when I was 15 I worked at like a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And when you grow up with money, you ain't working at a Dairy Queen at 15.
Well, I thought that Carrie's backstory was a little bit like middle because her dad left her when she was like 5.
Yes, in the show canonly, I
Uh-huh.
guess. Like I said before, there is that Carrie Diary spinoff, and they
Oh,
are middle class. But she doesn't also bring up they don't really bring up anything. Carrie's never actually spoken about her mother
yeah.
in the entire series.
Yeah. Just her father.
But in the Carrie Diaries, like spoiler alert, I mean it's a different show, but her mother dies when she's like a teenager.
Oh, maybe that's why she never brought her up.
Maybe it's not supposed to be canon with the show, but like
Then what was the point?
just I don't know. It was a spin. I really liked it. I really liked it. I still want you to see it. It's on Prime. I think
Okay.
I bought it. But yeah, it's definitely a
Okay.
different interesting take. It's funny to see them as to see her as a teenager.
Yeah.
Completely
Interesting.
different though. Anyway, we're going off track, but The Carrie
Yeah.
Diaries is a good show also too, but it's not canon with the show.
Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
we
next
could maybe
scene.
do that
Yeah, after this, right?
after this. Yep.
Next scene, we have Manny Petties with the 4 broads, and
Mhm.
Charlotte kind of starts off the conversation saying how um she's known about artists who have bartended for years, but it doesn't mean that he won't be making money someday. And Miranda corrects her. She's like, he's not an artist slash bartender. He's just happy
Just a
being a
bartender.
bartender. Period.
Right,
Like that's all
Charlotte.
he's got going for him. And Samantha's like, well, how's he in bed? And Miranda's like, there are no words. Sounds like a
we're just
dream
ask
relationship to me,
we're
you
asking the
know?
real questions here. Dude, I wish
And
sex was enough,
yeah,
right? Then everyone would just be with everyone like everyone would have
yeah,
found their partner by now probably.
yeah. People were more like bonobos. Sorry. You know what?
It's just
That's
funny. I know.
I'm
That's
like, you know what? Bonobos are an entire topic that I could talk for hours about, so let's not even go there.
this
You know,
surprise episode. We talk about monkey structure.
yeah, I'd be game. Um, but anyways, no, Charlotte kind of throws back at Miranda. They're kind of a little bit at heads here with the situation because Charlotte's saying, "I don't understand how you can get serious with a guy whose entire future is based off of tips." It's kind
Well,
of
that's
rough.
Charlotte. That's
Yeah,
Charlotte. Like, but then to put that on like another person, you're just kind of like,
yeah,
well, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, yeah. And Carrie butts in on this one and she's like, rich men date not so rich women all the time, and it's never an issue, you
mm-hmm.
know? And
Well, because in Charlotte's fucking yuppie head, she sees men as the provider
mm-hmm.
and women as like the nurturer once marriage happens, and then that's that.
Yep, because
And
she
that's
even
what's normal to
says,
her.
yeah, because she even says it's normal for men to have more money. And Miranda,
Charlotte.
I know we love her, but sometimes I want to put some tape on her fucking mouth. Like, stop being
She's a
mean.
wasp. She's a
Yeah,
wasp.
yeah. I just feel like she just adds that like layer of judgmental that just I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyways, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, Miranda starts talking about how when a woman is successful and a woman has money, it's a problem that has to be talked about versus when men have money, it just is what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's really interesting because it's like the dynamic gets shifted if the woman is in a situation where she is not, like dependent on him or is maybe even doing better than him financially.
Look
And
here.
it's like she gets
Look.
punished for it.
Look here. Look here. Okay.
Mita.
Mira. Let me step into my department. I get this on such a heavy level. This episode actually is very reminiscent of something that happened a couple years ago with me, where it felt like, I don't know, even now, I guess, but like being a woman who can take care of themselves and who is independent, financially, and other aspects too. Um, at least this is my position. I tend to find guys, or I'm attracted to men who um aren't always financially stable, or like don't always have the capability of being independent at the time that I meet them, you know and it's a dynamic that I've struggled with thus far. Like, I've been a nurse now for what, 7 years, and I feel like even before then, I think my drive alone was like different also, because I was very determined to be independent. um but it does play into it really hard sometimes, and I think men see you, and they automatically feel emasculated, that they're not there with you yet or more, and it shuts it off for them,
Yeah, it's like,
regardless of the connection. You could have the
yeah,
best connection in the world. You can get along so well, but I feel like when they don't feel like they're an equal or more,
it's
it
like they
doesn't compute.
it's like they give up too. And
Yes.
like they like throw
Rather
in the
than
towel, try harder, they throw in the towel and are just like, nope, this isn't gonna work.
rather
But
than just being like, hey, you know what? Like, I have goals too, and I'm working really hard towards them. And like, I'm determined for this because I want this for myself. But like, yeah, like I've ran into it a lot. And of course, this was like, years prior and stuff too. I was younger, I was in my early 20s. Like, now I'm, in my later 20s, and it's a little bit different because society, like, yeah, we're all supposed to be a little bit more well off, because we're all supposed to have jobs and shit now. But it was really hard. It was really hard when I was younger, and it made me feel, I definitely really, 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 really struggled when I was younger, feeling like it was my fault, feeling like the independent part of myself that I so gratefully loved and was so proud of myself for. And I was always just like, how do men not see what I've done for myself and just cherished that too and just reaped the benefits also without being, without being like taking advantage of me. They're, but like, how do they not see that the qualities and the characteristics of what it takes to be independent, especially as a woman? How do they not just see that and be like, game on? But then it probably falls into insecurity and other things here too. But that was
Yeah.
prior. But I feel like I've experienced this dynamic pretty much. Actually, yes, I have never been with someone who makes more money than me. That's just me being honest. But I have a career. Some people don't. Some people bounce around. That's fine. Find yourself, but like I've constantly ran into this. And I also just apparently don't attract men with money. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. That's not a thing for me. I actually really don't care. I've never cared about how much money you make as long as you treat me well. That's all that I've ever cared about.
Yeah. And that's what Miranda's saying here too. It's like, and that's what Samantha's saying too. It's like,
Yeah.
how's the sex? There aren't even words. Like, he worships her. Like, this is the
Hmm.
connection that she's been wanting. And Charlotte is the one with the problem with it, though. And she
Well,
even
because that's
goes,
Charlotte's freaking ideals, and
yeah, because Miranda's saying it's when the woman has the money, it's a problem that has to be discussed and that she wants to be proud of it. And Charlotte's like, you are talking about more than a difference in income right now. You're talking about a difference in background and education. And I do feel like that is a very valid point. Not that people who are different in those aspects can't be together, but you do have to recognize when you're coming from those different perspectives, you have to like take that into consideration into the relationship. You can't ignore it,
absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
Because the
Yeah, I mean
values are going to be so different.
yeah, and your life experience is different.
Yeah.
And that's a big your childhood upbringing different,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I went to a private school, oh, well, I went to public school, oh, I went to college with no debt, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I have $20,000 of student loans because my parents didn't have
Yeah.
money to send me to college, you
Or
know
I always had new clothes every year for school versus I didn't always know if I was going to have dinner that night, you know?
right, right. And these are just the reality of our past and upbringings,
Yeah.
and the things that would happen to us as children we can't change, but
And
and
affect us as adults, you know?
absolutely.
So the next thing out of Charlotte's mouth is this guy is working class. I do think she kind of went a little bit a little with that one, but I think right before that she did have a very solid point. Like, you can't ignore that.
Charlotte. Yeah, no,
You
and
know?
it's something to talk about. I mean, that when you're getting
Yeah.
to know someone, you talk about those things. You talk about
Yeah.
how you were brought up. You talk about the things you've been through, like, and if
Yeah.
you're cool with it, you usually stay, and if you're not cool with it, you don't.
And
So
they all kind of like clap back at her. They're like, you're acting like an old-fashioned fart right now. Like, you're being
yeah,
very
you're
like,
you're being like a Karen. You're being like a
yeah.
fucking weird, and what's funny is we never really kind of get that, like, no, because what were we talking about in the circumcision thing? She was being a
Mm-hmm.
fucking prude about that shit too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's unsightly and blah 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 blah,
She
and I'm
no,
like,
she says
bitch.
it's unnatural,
Oh,
which it
unnatural, even
literally
worse, is
is
the most natural thing that
natural.
you can
Yeah.
fucking.
Like, this guy has to go through a painful surgery to undo what you're saying is unnatural.
Craziest part is you could just be having great sex. Because what have
Yeah.
we learned? Men who aren't circumcised feel better.
Try harder. Oh. That's what they said in the
No,
episode.
no, I'm talking about the reverse. So, like,
Wait,
men
what?
who aren't circumcised,
Yeah.
yeah, like, it's better for them so they don't have to try it. Like, sex is great.
Oh, in the episode they said that they try harder, but it was because they're insecure about being
That's
uncircumcised.
so crazy because I'm like, for like, okay, look, this is just side note. Like for me, if someone's like, if you're in it and you're in the moment and you're banging and like this guy's like, this is the best feeling I've ever had ever. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. I'm like, let's keep it going. Like, what do you mean? I don't, dude. I don't know what the fuck and or care what it looks like. It's inside of me. Let's just be real about that. No one needs to know what it fucking looks like if it's just,
Nope.
I mean, yeah, eventually you're gonna have to come face to face with it, but like,
Do you though?
yeah, head isn't an option.
Yeah, it is.
It, it's not an option, it's a requirement.
Agree to disagree.
Okay, well that's fair.
Well,
To
and
each
I'm
their
not
own.
saying that for me. I love giving head and I love receiving head, but there are people who don't like it, and that's okay.
Like you should explore the finer things in life.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, but like we have to talk about this moment because this is one of the most Karen things that Charlotte's ever done. So
My God.
remember, in this scene, they're getting mani-pedis, like, and they're right now they're getting the pedicure part. And so
Mm-hmm.
all like just to kind of paint the scene, all four women are in their chairs and they're showing it from behind the technician's back. So
Yeah.
you're literally watching them having their feet worked on by these women who they don't even show their faces.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte, they're trying to brush Charlotte off and say, like, you're wrong. This is not how life works anymore. And Charlotte's like, you're trying to act like we live in a classless society and we don't. And she gestures to the women who are working on their feet.
Jesus, Charlotte. In
I know.
reality, I was like, do you know in reality, like
Nail
people who
techs
do
make
nails and mail
money.
takes make money.
They
Like, so you can be
do.
going home with like usually you get fat tips, like especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're like good and you're like, hey, I'm gonna do a great job. I'm gonna, like
Mm-hmm.
you get tipped accordingly.
Yeah. But I feel like people in Charlotte's position don't see that or appreciate that. And
Yeah, I mean
that's part of the
it's
whole,
not gonna be, yeah.
but that's part of the whole point that this episode's making, though. It's like she's in a different cast, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure.
And
I'm like, sorry, Charlotte, we all couldn't just go get a fucking art degree because we wanted to.
well,
I would have loved to do fucking things I actually wanted instead of
yeah,
had to like get a career at
yeah,
19 because I needed to pay bills.
yep,
Like,
yep, yeah.
yeah,
If I could have just, studied whatever I wanted, I probably would have studied mythology. Just, I love mythology and like stories
I
like
actually
that.
wanted to
But I'm
do art
like,
history.
what? I don't know what kind of
Yeah.
job I would get. But yeah, no,
You'd
she
be
got.
I think you'd be a fantastic professor.
I'm working towards it. Eh,
I would love to sit and hear you like talk about like mythology and shit. That'd be so fun.
I'd go
It'd be so
woof.
fun.
I
Woof.
appreciate you. Woof. Oh my God, but it's so funny too. Marie, freaking Carrie, she's like, okay, Marie Antoinette to Charlotte.
Let them
Oh
eat
my
cake.
God. No, for real. And then
Let them eat
Samantha's
cake.
like, she changes the subject and she's like, she's right. I'm dating a man who has an actual servant.
It's crazy.
So, introducing Harvey and Sum. So, we meet Harvey. He is a real estate investor who has a servant named Sum, who's from Thailand.
Hmm.
He brags about her cooking and obviously has like a really great relationship with her. He even goes as far as to like sigh and watch her as she leaves the room, saying, "Isn't she the best?"
I feel like he just loves her.
And he even ends that with, "I tell you, I could not live without her." It's not
Yeah.
what men like freaking like they tell you the truth, man. Like he told her from the beginning, like I don't know.
It's
But
true. I've just finished
it
saying this to
literally
people
came out
like
of his mouth.
Men
But
tell you how they feel. Like, you
they
have to
do. Just
listen.
listen.
Oh, Bella,
And
fucking take your own advice.
Sum seems kind. She's very much like, would you like more food? And like being very nice, very helpful. She obviously is like English isn't her first language. And she's also gorgeous, mind you. Like I
Yeah,
think
beautiful
she's
hair. I was like, oh,
beautiful. Like she's stunningly pretty. Her hair is like down to her butt and like perfectly done.
gorgeous.
Just
Yeah.
beautiful lady. But the little side note, if you listen in the background of like this scene, there's creepy music.
You know what's crazy? I never hear the music in any of the episodes like a lot. Like, I would have to actually really pay attention. The only ones that are noticeable for me ever was the Freak Show one,
Mm-hmm.
because it was like circus music.
Da, da,
And then
da, da,
the
da.
episode later on where Samantha's on a rooftop and they play actual music.
Mm-hmm.
Um I talked about that on another podcast that was on. We talked about Sex in the City, the music in Sex in the City, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a real song. I always like when I always notice when they play, I always notice more so when they play real songs than like their little like backing.
Background
But
music.
every now and then you catch these little like excerpts of the music, and it plays so well into the scene too. I need to go back and listen. For some
Yeah.
reason I like don't catch them a whole lot, or I guess maybe I've just
I
watched it so
listen with my
much I don't.
headphones. But you usually
You know
watch it on a
what?
TV. I
I
put
usually
put it on my headphones because I'm doing the script on the computer and I have it in my
That
headphones.
makes sense too. And even when before at my other job, when I was watching episodes, I'd have it just to my iPad on the side. So I was
Mm-hmm.
just listening to it off an iPad while working. So
I do that sometimes when I'm driving to get ready for the
Mm.
podcast. I listen to it just to
I've
only
done
pick
that
up on the
too.
audio. Yeah,
I need to start
and get
doing
that
that more.
surround sound with the car.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and so all of this, like that conversation, the experiences and everything, leads Carrie to wonder if there is a caste system within dating in New York City. And
I
if
mean,
so, can you date
anywhere.
in and out of side in and outside of your caste? Which obviously you can because that's what she's doing,
Yeah.
right? And the next night, Mr. Big takes Carrie out to dinner, and it's the first time they've seen each other since the night that she said I love you. And they're at a very romantic restaurant in New York City, like very pretty, and they're flirting with each other, drinking wine and stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was like an Italian restaurant, and we know Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Big loves his Italian food.
Yeah.
And she thinks that he chose this place because he's gonna say I love you back. And they're chatting, and he's like, there's something I've been wanting to mention since the other night when we saw each other.
I can't
And
watch.
she's like, yes, like she's like getting ready and stuff, like brushing her hair and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you can take it back if you don't like it.
At that point, I feel like he's talking about their whole relationship.
Basically. And it really gives the same energy as like, I didn't know what officially means. Like, Mr. I've been married
Big.
before. Bitch.
He's such a
So,
freaking
mm-hmm.
dork sometimes. Like, I
Yeah.
just.
And so is she. But it's
Yeah.
cute. She says that this was the first night that she ever felt the need to say, I hate you.
This was the first time you punched him in the face the other episode.
Domestic violence. Miss Carrie Bradshaw.
It's still
Well,
October.
it is. And next scene, we have Charlotte and Wiley Ford. So a movie star shows up at Charlotte's gallery, and she and him begin flirting. It's actually funny. He asks her, how much for this piece? He's pointing at the fire extinguisher
In the wall.
in the wall.
However, when you look at it, it essentially could look like a piece,
Yeah.
because the fire extinguisher matches the wall. Like it's all white. Like
Yeah. It's
it
not
it, it
red
does.
like it normally is.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a piece. However, typically, if anyone's ever, if you do museums and stuff, um, every piece usually has a like tag of
Yeah.
what it is, when was this made, what's the medium, what's the description. Like that's
Yeah.
typically, well, in certain museums, I don't know as far as all art museums go. Well, no, typically they do because they need to credit the artist.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but there's none of that there.
No.
But it could definitely be misinterpreted, I think.
Yeah.
So
Well, she laughs it off and makes him feel better. And then he's like, "What do you think about closing early?" And she's just like, she thinks about it for like half a second and then she does. And then she joins him in his limo and they start making out like
this is what
crazy.
I wanted to bring up. This is what I wanted to bring up because I was rewatching the episode and I just noticed this for the first time.
What?
While they're there in the limo making out, she starts getting all like, she's like kissing up on his neck and like playing with his ears. And I'm all, Miss Ma'am, for someone who's all like, oh, I just like kiss barely and like, and I don't like this. I'm like, you are sure being quite freaky for not being quite freaky for the past 2 seasons. Okay,
Yep.
she never talks about things like, it's always so delicate. Oh, we kissed, yes, and then we made love. Oh, ma'am, this you're brinking on like some animalistic shit, especially being in the back of a limo.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte would never.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's the bad boy. It's the bad
Speak
boy.
and speaking of Charlotte would never, he's not even referring to her as Charlotte. He calls her Charlene.
He keeps calling her Charlene,
And
right?
she's like, "My name is Charlotte." And he's like, "I prefer Charlene."
I prefer to get the fuck out of this limo because you're calling me by my name.
No, for real. So when he at one point is like, "Hey, driver, you need to stop. I gotta go take a leak." And he like leaves the limo to go into an alley to go pee. And in that moment, Charlotte uses it to call Carrie because it's the 90s and he has a
The limo
phone
had a
on the
phone.
limo. The limo has
Yeah.
a phone. So she uses it to call Carrie. She tells her what's happening. Carrie's like, "Get the fuck out of there, dude." But Charlotte's like, "It's crazy. All my rules went out the window. It's like he wants me and I have to obey." And I'm
See?
like,
It's that weird primal shit. It's that weird bad boy or like this is dangerous. I'm telling you, the having
also,
a sense of danger makes you do wild things.
well, also he's a movie star. He's famous. It's that like starry-eyed, like I'm seeing a celebrity in real life thing, you know?
I don't know if I'd be okay. If it was a celebrity I was into,
Ma'am,
yeah, but I wouldn't be like that with. I've met celebrities and I'm not like, just because you are one, I don't want to just
okay,
like suck you off.
okay, but what if it was one that you were like actually interested in?
Yes, that's a different. Okay, of course I would theoretically want to, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna throw it all away.
What do you
Okay,
mean?
wait.
I'm like, what do you mean throw it all away? Like a whole like he's not gonna want to buy the ice cream truck if you're giving the popsicles for free kind of thing?
No, no, just like I'm like, would I give me a celebrity and we'll see yes or no.
What's that? Nikki Six. But
No,
he's
because
like,
he's married.
okay, but he's like 28 and single. Like, let's do like time jump.
Nikki Six at 28 is my dream.
Okay, so like let's say he pulled up and was like in there for a vaccination.
I girl.
And you had to
He
stick
well,
him with a needle.
first of all, Nikki Six is very comfortable with needles, and he would have given his own injection. Sorry, Nikki Six is a heroin addict. If you guys did not know that, but so I don't know if you guys know this. I do talk about it sometimes. My goal and lot in life was to be a groupie for Motley Crue. So, of course, this is Nikki Six we're talking about. But Nikki
Yeah,
Six back then, not Nikki Six now. He's happily married. They have a baby. Well,
yeah.
she's a little girl, but yeah, I'm being
So
respectful.
Okay, yeah, but if he was 28 and single and pulled up with wanting a vaccination and was like, "You want to leave work early and like come with me in my limo to my show tonight?" Yeah. I
There's
think he
no
would be a little bit
question.
primal too, you know? Um
There's no question. But it had to be
Oh
back
my
in the
God.
80s.
Exactly. And speaking of primal, so next scene we kind of get a real glimpse at Sum, the Harvey servant.
Yeah.
So Samantha's seeing Harvey, who has a servant named Sum, who is from Thailand.
Hmm.
And Harvey leaves Samantha at his place. Like they obviously like finished making love. He's gonna leave for the day, I guess to go to work or something. And he tells Samantha to stay as long as she wants, that Sum will even make her breakfast. And Samantha's like, no, no, it's okay. But he like pushes it and is like, no, like she loves doing this kind of stuff. Like, and I'm like, no one loves doing that kind of
Well, it's
stuff.
her job.
Yeah, whatever, right? But he's leaving and he says goodbye to Sam, who's so sweet to him as he leaves. She's just like, bye.
No
And
shit.
then, and then he tells her, take good care of Samantha.
Hmm.
And the second the door closes and he's out of there, she swings open the door on Samantha, who's still in bed, and starts ripping up the bedding while Samantha's still in bed.
Well, she's
And
yelling at her too.
and
She's
she's
like,
yelling at
okay,
her.
lazy bones, get up out of bed. She
Yeah.
fucking tells her to get the
Yeah.
fuck out.
And she's stripping the bed underneath her, and Samantha's like, should I wait in the dining room for breakfast? She's like, breakfast? I don't have time to make breakfast. There's a lot of work to do around here. And
Oh,
she starts like cursing under her breath and stuff.
yeah.
It's like really funny. And Samantha's just there, like in her little like slip, her like
Well, she
dress
pulls
slip.
Samantha out of bed, right? Like,
She
she
does.
fucking,
Yeah, no, she
yeah.
pulls the sheet from underneath her. So Samantha gets up out
Hmm.
of bed and is like trying to get dressed. Like, oh, what the fuck?
Hmm.
And then, speaking of getting dressed, next scene we have Miranda
Oh,
taking Steve shopping. So, the first thing that okay, to paint the scene, we have Steve who's standing on one of those like pedestal things at, like at a suit shop so that the tailor can like work on the suit while he's standing there
yeah.
in front of the mirror. And we have Miranda next to him, and this is a place that is so nice. They actually give you like cocktails and stuff while you're shopping, like,
That's
and
like typical
Miranda's,
of like dress shopping and suit shopping.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like a place that is nice enough that that is happening. It's not like a discount fucking suit store, like
Oh,
a
yeah,
JC
no.
Penney. But not that there's anything wrong with JC Penney suits, but
No.
but they don't serve you alcohol. Um,
I mean, you can bring a
so
flask.
That's true. Um, let's go to JCPenney soon. Um, it's been a
That'd
while
be
since you
fun.
and I went
You
out
want
with
to
the
go?
flask.
You know what we should do? We should
Sell
go
at
play.
outlets.
Oh, that too. We should play in like and just dresses. We
That'd
should
be
go just
fun.
play and put on dresses.
I am game and drink. Yeah, let's do that.
With a flask.
But
We're gonna get kicked out.
girl, I would be dead. That'd be so funny. Imagine getting kicked out of a JCPenney for
We
drinking.
could we could finally get our mugshots.
Cute.
I just
Yeah.
recently had to
Okay, now
take a
this has to
picture.
happen.
I had to take a picture for my new ID for work.
Uh-oh.
Because I technically work for the city. So it's like everything's all like security. And my appointment got thrown at me the day of. And I, of course, out of all the days, it was after I had a rough day. So I woke up in the morning, no makeup, dirty hair, like just threw on my scrubs. And they're like, hey, your ID appointment's today at 4:30. I'm like, even went to HEB to try and go buy makeup to get on, and the HEB that I went to didn't have cosmetics.
Okay, I feel like you were set up.
That's what I'm saying. So I go and I have to go to the big like building downtown, and like I had to run through. I had to even take a picture to get into the building, like to get like put on like a visitor sticker. And I was like, it was crazy. And
That's
then so
wild.
I took the picture. Well, it's like technically a government building. It's like the city. So took the picture and then I showed it to someone and they were like, "Hey, that's your mugshot." I was like, I was like, "It
You know
is."
what? I feel you because the lady who took my picture for my driver's license when I moved, she did me dirty. Like, I swear she was like, I'm gonna get this bitch, and like got it at the most unflattering
Yeah.
angle that she fucking could. I'm like, I look like a monster in
And the
that
girl was
photo.
super nice. She was like, "You can retake it." She's like, "I'll retake it till you're comfortable." I was like, "Sweetheart, we're not getting any better than what's going on here.
Oh my God.
I need an entire day to get ready for this picture, and I did not."
I feel that. I wish I would
I'm
have
like,
done that
can I
driver's
send you a
license makeup.
selfie?
That'd be cute.
Pull it
Like
out of my Instagram, please.
like cleavage in it and everything. Like, I'm here
I
for your
know.
vaccination.
Shut up. You're trying to sexualize vaccines right now, and it's making me uncomfortable.
I mean,
Shots aren't supposed to be sexy.
I disagree, and I think John Waters in the opening of Crybaby would also disagree.
Now we're talking. You're right. Dude, Wanda.
Dig it, babe. You need to look.
Dude, I haven't seen that movie in so long. You gotta rewatch
I have
Crybaby.
that movie memorized.
Ugh.
Speaking of, though, back to the story. So, um, we have Miranda taking Steve shopping for a suit. This is probably why we're so off track, or this scene is so hard to get through. It's so sad.
It
Um,
is.
so we have Steve, and he's in this like several $1,000 suit, and the only thing out of his mouth, he looks uncomfortable. He says, "It's frightening how good I look." That's an interesting choice of words, in my opinion. And it's a suit that Miranda picked out for him. And she's so excited and says they're gonna take it. Let's get the pair of shoes with it. Like let's get the whole ensemble. She's so
Yeah.
happy. And she's so happy he looks uncomfortable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And everything is like more or less fine though until he like looks up at the tag on the suit and sees it's $1,800. So I did the math, and
Mm-hmm.
for roughly about the time that this came out versus now the inflation cost, that's about $3,400 in today's
I
money.
was about to say,
And that didn't even include the shoes or any of the other
yeah.
pieces of the suit. So this was like probably somewhere like a $5,000 investment right here. And
Mm-hmm.
he just at first he jokes like, I better not spill anything, and Miranda's like, don't worry, I'm gonna buy it for you. And
Yeah.
he says, no way, you're not buying
Yeah.
me a suit.
He has like the look of terror on his face.
Horror, just like full on,
Yeah.
just like absolutely not. And then we
Yeah.
pan over to the register, and he's struggling to pay for the suit. So the first thing that we see is the cashier say, sorry sir, your card was declined. And Miranda's like, try one of mine, trying to like lighten the mood. And he
Mm-hmm.
brushes her off and then is like, okay, then go ahead and put this much on my credit card. I'm going to write you a check for this much, and then I'm going to pay the rest of it in cash. And
Mm-hmm.
Miranda's like gently trying to get him to stop, just let her pay for it. And he's like, and this is like the meanest he's ever been to her at this point. He's like, just let me buy the fucking suit.
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
shuts her up saying that.
yeah. He's feeling like hella emasculated right now.
And this scene is just so hard to watch. And it's like, bro, was that literally less painful than just letting her slide her fucking card?
Yeah, because I mean, if
Like,
you were that pressed, you would have paid. You just would have paid her back. You'd been like, "Hey, let me pay you back for it. Thank you
yeah.
for doing this. Right? If you really want to do this, do it. But like, I'm gonna pay you back.
But
You
he
know?
wouldn't even let her. And it just
Yeah.
was super hard to watch and super painful. And everybody's upset right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we're leaving Miranda and Steve. And we switch over and we go to Carrie and Mr. Big at Serena Bush's party. So, Serena Bush is an Upper East Side lady, very high money. And when Carrie's introducing her, she says that, I've known her back since she was this person, and she was like right now she's famous for her husband's money. I knew her when she was famous for her drug dealer, his boyfriend or whatever, like she goes that far back with this lady. And, first
This
thing
lady must have made a huge ass glow up then. She went
mm-hmm.
from what, fucking drug dealers, and now she's like on Park Avenue and shit.
Well, it says that her father's money and her drug dealer boyfriend.
Oh.
So she
Dude,
had money, and
I wish
yeah.
that was my lot in life. All I had was drug dealer boyfriend.
Yeah, I feel like father's money kind of makes that difference, right? Makes it a little less
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so and you'll notice too, Carrie stands out like a sore thumb in this scene. So we have all of these ladies that are very well put together and very classic looks. Like Charlotte would blend in here.
Patchouli and a
But
room full of Chanel.
it really is. And all these ladies are wearing these very classic silhouettes, very neutral colors, very
Mm-hmm.
pretty, obviously very expensive. Carrie's wearing this dress that's like, it looks like it's something out of a comic book. It's like very bright and colorful, and there's
I
different.
do love that
It's
outfit
it's
though,
cute
because
as hell.
that's
Like,
just because this is just who Carrie is. This is her
yeah,
style. This is who she is through and through.
yeah.
That's
But
that,
like,
you know.
it very much is giving fashionista versus classic,
Yeah, always. Yeah.
and she just stands out like a lot. And Carrie and Mr. Big know Serena separately, so they both have a
Mm-hmm.
previous relationship with this person that is completely separate from one another. And as they're walking around the party, Carrie says, like, I hate Park Avenue. It's like being in a foreign country. And Mr. Big tells her, think of me as your passport, which I feel like that's worth noting. He's like, you're here because of me.
Well, it's true.
It is, but let's acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And as they're walking around the party, they see that all of the women have their own little purses that are different versions of the duck that she received.
Of the
So you
duck
see
purse.
an eggplant, a watermelon, a cow, asparagus, a kitten. Like they're really cute. Honestly, if
I
I was
want the
Mr.
asparagus.
I want the eggplant,
I
honestly.
want the asparagus so bad.
I
Oh
feel
my
like
god,
I feel like if he had gotten her one of the cuter little funkier ones, that would have been more her. Like if she had gotten the watermelon slice, I feel like she would have been into
do you
that.
know how bad I want a corn dog purse?
Oh my God, that would be so cute.
A blinged out corn dog purse?
Yeah, the zipper goes like with a little mustard thing. Like
I would die.
obsessed. But
Corn dog queen for life.
no, for real. But we have all of the different women with their little purses. So we kind of, learn at this point that he really wasn't he didn't just see that duck and think of her and go and get it. He noticed that all of his colleagues and all of his friends were doing this for their girlfriends and their wives. So he did it for
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, which, you know, Carrie's upset about that. She's like, well, obviously he doesn't know me if this is what he's doing. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that that would be an encouraging thing. He's trying to kind of like, you know,
No.
no? Tell me why.
No.
Because
Because
okay, wait, let me finish my thought. So, like, basically, I was thinking that he was thinking that, well, this is what everyone else is doing. I'm gonna also do it for my partner. You know what I mean? But
that's the
what did,
sad part.
okay,
Because he should know Carrie's not like everyone. He should know
okay,
Carrie for who she is and got her something that she would have actually enjoyed. And
okay,
it's proving that he knows nothing about her
okay. Yeah, I could see that
at a
actually.
deeper level, that he went off of, like, he probably, what probably happened. He
Hmm.
told his secretary, go out and buy Carrie something nice. And that secretary was probably like of the fashion times and was like seeing what everyone else was getting in that kind of like society, and
Mm-hmm.
just got her that.
Okay.
because the secretary doesn't know Carrie personally at this point, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
So, but he could, if he knew her better, he would have said, "Go out and buy Carrie this."
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Okay. I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, next moment, we have a waiter who comes up to them and asks what they would like to drink. And Carrie tries to order a glass of red wine, but they tell her that they're only serving clear liquids, only
Yeah.
clear. And can
So
I,
they won't stain.
yeah. And this, like, sends Carrie through a loop. And she even goes as far as to say that they've just encountered a mutant strain of Upper East Side anal.
I
And
really
even,
like her dialogue in this very specific scene.
yeah, because then she says it's like she's trying to consciously cultivate an eccentricity so that people won't notice that she is completely devoid of personality
That is my probably one of my favorite lines in the entire
that has
show
ever come out of Carrie's mouth. Yeah.
because it's something I would say and
Yeah.
I love it. This is where when Carrie's writer brain turns on in real life scenarios, I love it. I'm like,
Yeah.
you sometimes she whips out the most like the best things, you
She
know, and I'm
really
like,
does.
I love this. And you know what makes me so like then we see that so she says that and then Big goes, "Well, don't be a bitch." This would have sent me spiraling in anger because one, she's flaunting how smart she actually is too. Because it's true. She's like, oh, she's like this anal bitch. Like, I understand it's like, yeah, respect her house, but like, but also this Serena bitch is prancing around with her nose in the air about it too. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll see that she's not a nice lady.
No.
So it's a very true statement and it's so eloquently said. And I feel like when Carrie shows that she actually has a brain, Big tries to shut it down every single time.
Yeah. He always makes jokes about her profession too, which I don't like, but that's just me.
Exactly.
Um, but I do like the way that she responds to him when he says that. She says, "I'm not being a bitch, I'm just being myself."
Exactly. I'm like,
And
if
he's
you're going
like,
to
"You're
get
being a
in,
little bit of a bitch."
no, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, she's being, but she's already on the defense of being in a situation that's not essentially comfortable for her. And then he's
Mm.
already kind of giving a complex of like, oh, well, I'm the one who brought you here. Like,
I'm your
fucking,
passport.
yeah, like, there's already some like defense there naturally with the
Hmm.
scenario. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I think she was just being honest.
Yep. And in walks Serena to come and say hi. And naturally, she's super friendly with Big, and she just like comes in. She's like, "Sweetheart, it's been forever." And
God.
mind you, she doesn't say Mr. Big if she doesn't say his name. She says sweetheart. Still concealing that identity. What's his name? Because we all know
Oh
that
yeah,
his name isn't actually Mr. Big. So we
yeah.
don't find
I
that out
think
until
a lot of
much later.
I think a lot of people think that. I feel like they think that that's his last name.
Oh,
And
it's
it's
not.
not. We're not going to reveal it yet, I guess.
No,
No,
no. You have to do it
well,
with the show. It's not revealed until the last episode.
is it really? I thought it was in the
Yes.
movies.
No. His first name
I
is
have to look
revealed
back.
in the last episode. His last name is revealed in the movie.
Oh.
And his first, middle, and last name is revealed in the movie.
And I love it.
He has a really good name. It's
I
very
love a
classic.
dignified name.
But so I have personally been in this situation where I'm on a date with my partner and another person comes up and is extremely friendly with them and doesn't acknowledge me, even goes so far as to put their arms around the person while I'm still there holding their hand and not acknowledge me at all. And I've had it happen with like multiple partners, and that
God damn.
shit drives me crazy. I'm just like, how are you going to be so like you know?
I don't think I've ever had that, but I feel like I've been personally told that my like natural state of being, someone was like, I thought you were gonna punch me in the face. I was like, I was happy as a clam.
I
But
know. I remember hearing that all through high school. I'm like, this bitch? Like, she's so nice.
everyone thinks I'm really mean, and I'm
No.
not. Well,
Oh my
here's the
gosh.
thing. I know I don't I think people misconstrue my like honesty and my like directness and my like uh just capability of just saying things how it is as like being mean, and I'm like, I'm not being mean. I'm like, you'll know if I'm being mean.
Yeah,
It's very
but
distinct. But I guess RBF fucking is I
it's a
have
thing.
I'm always smiling on the podcast because I just, it's fun. But like I think naturally, and I can't even rest my face right now because I'm happy. But like my natural rest face is not approachable apparently. I don't even think I can do it. I'm like, I can't. Let me see. I can't. I can't rest my face right now. Like, and scene.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no.
Yeah, no one's
Serena
ever
just
tried to
like,
step up like that to me. Rightfully
yeah.
so. Rightfully so. If I was holding my dude's hand, this is for anyone. If I was holding my dude's hand and you're gonna come up and try and hug him and not acknowledge me, first of all, I'm not the type to just sit back. I'll be like, hi, I will be like, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Bella. Who are you?
You know, that's one of the reasons why it didn't work out with that partner, because they allowed people to just like openly disrespect me like
Yeah,
that and wouldn't say anything, would even side with them, being like, it's not that big of a deal. Versus my partner now, who, when that happened one time, he like stopped them, put his hand up, and was like, this is my wife,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh,
And yeah, yeah, I knew I
one
made the
day
right
I will be
choice.
referred. One day I will be referred to as such.
One
One
day
day.
I will be there. But yeah, Big doesn't do a goddamn fucking thing about this. He just is like, Carrie. And she
Yeah.
just she turns, she's like, yes.
Yeah,
Like,
so dismissive
ugh.
too.
And Carrie's in the middle of trying to light a cigarette, and she tells her, no, no, terrace. You can smoke that in the terrace.
She like
And
shoos her off.
yeah, and Carrie's like, then that's where I'll
That's
be.
where I'll be. But it is also kind of presumptuous to just smoke in someone's house.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that is something that I can't get behind with Carrie, is that she is extremely disrespectful throughout the entire show about that. And I get it's like the 90s and like not being able to smoke cigarettes indoors is like a thing that's beginning, but also it's a thing that's beginning, so you're well aware of what it is you're doing.
It's
Like,
also just like, it's not the 50s,
it's
you
not
know?
the 50s, and it's like, man, when you smoke a cigarette in a room, that shit lingers. Like, it doesn't just
Yeah.
like go away. I don't
This
know.
is not Mad Men. This is Sex in the City. Like it, a couple years
Yeah.
prior, absolutely. Watching Mad Men is insane. Like
Yeah.
it's
Makes you want to light
I
up.
there's never not a cigarette on screen. Like
Damn.
it's insane.
My asthma's gonna
But
flare up just watching it.
I was watching, so, and it's funny too. I love that they put this in here. This is just side note. Like I was just recently watching a scene where it's two pregnant women and they're both smoking. Just but they're making it 100% of the times. That's what I do love about Mad Men. They make it historically accurate, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
My God.
Oh, I want a Mad Men podcast. Oh.
Next. We'll do that next. Well,
Screw
actually, I need
Mr.
to watch
Big.
it.
Screw Mr. Big, and here's his weird complexities. Don Draper. Oh God, that'd be fascinating. There's way more personality there,
Hmm.
or trauma.
Both.
I love
But
Don Draper.
yeah, no, Carrie gets cast out the party and is like, go over
Mm-hmm.
there.
She said, "Shoo,
Terrace. Terrace.
shoot, Terrace. Bye,
But
bitch."
we have the
I'm
next
surprised
scene.
Carrie didn't leave.
No, she does something better, you know? But we'll get there.
Yeah.
So now we go back to Charlotte, who's with Mr. Wiley Ford, the movie star that she
We're
is
back at the movie star.
ditching all her rules for. And we see her at a restaurant and they're like sitting in like this like VIP area and they're passing around a joint between them.
Oh
So it's
God.
Wiley Ford and all of his like buddies and stuff. And
Hmm.
Charlotte's there and he offers the joint to Charlotte and she refuses. She's like, I don't smoke pot, but you know. And
Yeah.
so he takes a huge puff and like grabs her face and forcefully shotguns her. So if you don't know what shotgunning is with smoking, it's when you blow the smoke directly into someone's mouth. So you take the hit and
Yeah.
then you blow it into their mouth so then they inhale it and then exhale it. Um
Right.
some people do that because they feel like it's too harsh to receive it straight from the thing. Some people do it because it's fun, you know, your lips
It's
touch and all that. It's
sexy.
sexy. Um, he forcefully made her consume cannabis. And personally, I don't give a shit what the substance is. I don't think it's right to ever give somebody mind
No.
altering substances without their consent. And I think it's really, really
Sure.
bad.
Yeah.
Um, and they all laugh at her and she kind of laughs it off too. So
Yeah.
obviously she's kind of getting into this whole like peer pressure kind of
It is
role
kind of
within
crazy
this.
because I feel like it's just so against Charlotte.
It's
Like
so out of character for
we
her.
saw her get so mad about her date kissing another woman and she was mad and stormed off like and you're just like all okay. But again, we're talking about like the whole star
Yeah.
stricken like
Yeah.
what this is
And
bringing out of her.
there's another little like tidbit in this scene. If you notice, she's wearing a different dress than she was wearing earlier. So when she was at the gallery, she had this really cute pink, very like pastel pink
Yeah.
spaghetti strap dress that was like kind of like a 50s housewife dress where it's like it goes below the knee. It's like
Mm-hmm.
fitted and it
It's
comes out.
cute. Yeah.
Very cute, pretty modest, like granted spaghetti strap,
Yeah.
but still modest.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's in a tight black leather dress with pink leather, like little hearts and butterflies and stuff on it.
I
It's
fucking
really
love it.
cute. It's a cute and it's strapless. It's such a cute dress. It's
Love
very
it.
tight, very cute dress. Um, so you can tell she's kind of becoming like a bit of a groupie in this whole scene. Um, and then we go back to Samantha, who is still dating the guy Harvey and his housekeeper servant, whatever you want to call
Mm-hmm.
her, Sum. And Samantha and Harvey are having dinner together. And obviously Sum is, you know, serving them
Like
dinner.
serving them. Yeah.
And when she goes out of the room to go grab more food for them, Samantha tries to tell Harvey what happened, and you can hear the eerie music in the background again. It's
I
very
need to
like
listen to it.
it's funny. It's like dun 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 dun. Like
Really?
yeah, it's very
I'm gonna have to
like
listen. Yeah.
creepy. And he when Samantha tries to start talking about it, she's coming back. So he shushes Samantha because Summer's coming back into the room.
Yeah.
Which I guess I could understand too, because it's like you're trying to tell me something about her. You know,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, he basically like blows her off and is like, "You must have misunderstood her. Her English isn't that great." And you know, Some comes back into the room again and is like, "Did you want more food, miss?" Like very, very sweet again,
Mm-hmm.
but now you kind of hear the like twinge in the
Yeah.
background of it, and you know, Samantha thinks to herself, so Some wasn't so dim after all.
She wasn't
And
well,
sh
the monologue in the background is
yeah,
Carrie saying something like, "Oh, she wasn't so dim that some,"
yeah,
which
and
is a play on dim sum,
yeah, but I
which is kind of
will,
racist.
I will
If
also
we
say I fucking hate that remark and I hate that part of the scene because this is the hill that I'm gonna die on. If you think that people are stupid for speaking broken English, you're fucking stupid. That person is literally speaking a second language. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that's always the
I
weirdest like thing I've
it's so
ever
it's a very ethnocentric point of view where
Mhm.
you think that
Yeah.
your fucking point of view, you speaking English is the right way. It's bullshit.
That
This
is
woman
crazy
speaks
to
an
me.
entire other language and is speaking your language.
Yeah,
Fuck
when
you.
people do the, oh, you need to learn English to live here. And I'm like, no, the fuck you don't really. I'm like, yeah. And English is a hard language to learn. It's actually a really hard language to learn. So, and then it's so crazy because I'm just like, okay, so you go fucking learn two other languages. I was like, other countries, like kids learn like two, three languages naturally. Like your kid only fucking knows English.
Barely. Like
Barely. You know what
this,
I just learned the other day? You know what I
what?
just learned? This is a real statistic. Our literacy rate right now is like 45%, and that the
Yes.
majority the majority of people can only read at a 3rd grade level.
Yeah. That's part of the
That
reason
is
that
the
teachers
that is
are
the like real statistic of what is going on right now, guys. Like
well, it's
that's
kind
this
of
is
fucking hard to learn how to fucking read and write when you have body bags and buckets being thrown at you.
very true. Very true.
You know, if
Mm.
you're in survival mode, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah. Society, our education system is getting a little
Yeah. But shout out to
not
all the
okay
teachers out there who are still
for
like
trying.
trying, making it work, doing everything that you can because you really are
You're
amazing
trying
for
to
that.
build the
Yeah.
backbone of our society that we need to be educated to stay relevant, and I think we're just turning into 1984, which is kind of terrifying because the
Yeah.
less educated the people are, the more you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrifying. So everyone, please read. Please continue reading and
Oh my God, don't even get
formulating
me
your own
started on the
opinions.
whole banned book list bullshit thing
Oh,
too. You know what? We need a separate podcast for complaining about bullshit. But let's stay on topic for now. Get
we're making a
yeah.
book club.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk about that. But back with Carrie. She goes to the terrace to go smoke her cigarette. And guess who she runs into? His name is
Jeremiah was a
Jeremiah
bullfrog.
the Bullfrog.
I like that
Um,
name.
I do like that name too. I think Jeremiah is cool personally. But he's a famous downtown artist who Carrie says is known uptown as, "Hey kid, go get me another scotch." And this is one of those artists that Charlotte was referring to, where they're a very talented artist who's going to make money one day. They just aren't there yet, you know?
Yeah.
And Carrie mentions that they had maintained and engaged in a mild flirtation for years. So this is somebody that she's run into over and over again, and they always
Yeah.
flirt when they see each other, but they don't
But
go
like
much.
that's it.
That's it, you
Yeah. It's
know?
just one of those like, oh hey, haha, he.
And when they're talking, he's like, "Who are you here with?" And she says, "Oh, some guy." Miss Ma'am, you said I love you last Friday night.
I was just about to say, I'm like, that's equal. I'm like, I know she's pissed, but that's also not cool.
I feel like that's a form of cheating, personally. Um, to like pretend like you're not there with somebody that you're actively in a relationship with.
This is
That's
crazy. Like just reminds me of like I met I met someone, and the first night I met them, someone else I ran into an old friend from elementary school, and while the guy I met was in the bathroom is when I ran into the guy, and he sat in homie's seat, and I got immediately vicious, and I said, someone's sitting there. I've known this kid since he was a child, and I immediately was like, someone's sitting there. Like I was like, out there, spot, go. And
remove.
but I mean, he was just like, "Oh, I'm just catching up," and I was like, "You're gonna have to move."
You're gonna have to go over there, sir.
Yeah, but I'm
Mm-mm.
just like, yeah, I don't play about the people I like. All right.
No. But Jeremiah shows I feel that though. But Jeremiah shows Carrie that he has a new tattoo. And this tattoo is like he lifts his shirt up so you can see that the top of the tattoo is below his belly button and it goes down
Yeah. Yeah,
into
it's
his
like
pants. Yeah. And Carrie asks if it's real and how far down does it go? And
girl,
mm-hmm,
girl,
mm-hmm,
girl.
mm-hmm. While Mr. fucking Big is inside, like at this party, this is what she's up to. And she starts looking closely at it. So, okay, let's paint the scene so you can fully understand what it is Serena walked into.
Let me see
So,
if I can find it too.
out on the terrace, Jeremiah is leaned up against the wall, smoking a cigarette and lifting his shirt, and his pants are dropped a little bit. And I'm
I found a
sorry,
picture.
he's okay. He's holding her hand as she's looking down at his crotch. So she decided to hold his hand while having her head at his crotch so she can get, I guess, a very, like, does she need glasses or something?
This is the
Like,
visual.
this is what Serena walks into. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it does look like, you know, looks a little suspicious. And Serena just
Little
goes,
sus.
excuse me, and turns around and goes inside. And you see Carrie walks in after her and sees Serena telling Mr. Big what happened. And she's like, yeah, she just has this smug fucking look on her face. And Mr. Big walks over to her, to Carrie, and is like, were you really out there giving the caterer a blowjob? And the first thing
Imagine.
Carrie says, he's not a caterer, he's a very well-known performance artist.
The fact that she didn't deny it was really funny, though.
And that's what he says. He's like, that doesn't answer my question. And he's like, because it was offensive. Like, of course I wasn't giving a fucking dude a
Yeah.
blowjob, like, I'm not
Yeah.
even
I
gonna
mean, of
dignify that with
course.
a response.
Yeah.
And Mr. Big's like, well, whatever you were doing, please stop. You're embarrassing me. Granted, that is embarrassing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been at a party where somebody showed up with somebody and then their date was like all over someone else.
I
That
have too. Well,
and
I have.
that shit is just so, like, secondhand embarrassment. It's like turn the volume up on that.
It
That
was my
shit is
friend too.
mm, I
It
don't
was
even
my
know
friend
these
too.
people. And the partner who was abandoned clung on to me all night and was like kept asking me if I knew where their girlfriend was. And I was like, yeah, over there. She's sitting on the dude's lap. You know?
Dude,
Ugh,
get this shit though. Something similar happened where I was with a friend. We went to like a show and she was there to see one of the guys she was like with one of the guys in the show. She got mad that he invited other girls to the show. And they were dating. This was like maybe second date of like just hanging out, like nothing serious. I'm like, girl, he's a musician. Like, there's gonna be other girls here. She got so mad. We went to the after party.
like,
Started
what'd she
making
do?
out. Started making out with his friend.
Okay, but fuck that
And
friend too.
get this shit though too. Um, then he started talking to me, and I just thought he was being friendly. I was like, oh, well, like we were just talking. Little did I know, she pawned him off on me to go
What?
her on her little escapades. She was like, oh, well, like, she got mad and she was like, oh, well, this and that. But like, you and Bella have a lot in common,
What the fuck?
to try and maybe lessen the
The
blow. And
blow?
I was like, oh, this guy wasn't being
What
nice. He
the
had an
fuck?
idea. And I was like,
What
if
the
you want to
fuck?
justify your own stupid attention seeking bullshit, go do that. Leave me the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Fucking grow up, dude. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Mm. But speaking of growing up, okay, so Mr. Big says, will you stop? You're embarrassing me. Carrie says, I'm embarrassing you? If you had joined me on the terrace like a gentleman, we wouldn't be talking like this. What do you think about that?
I don't think
Because I do think it was kind of fucked that he didn't go with her onto the terrace. He stayed inside.
that's the worst thing.
I don't think it's the
Um,
worst thing, but like I don't think it's the
I
best
wouldn't.
thing either.
I mean, personally, I don't need to cling on to the person I'm with the whole time. If I want to go outside and smoke a cigarette, I'm going to go outside, smoke a cigarette, and come back. You don't have to
Yeah,
hang out with me, but like that's just me being me. I'm not a clinger. Like,
that's true.
I'll be fine wherever I am. Like, you need to be respectful, but like, I don't need you to be with me every single fucking second. But
Yeah, but I
it is
mean,
one thing
given
though, because it was a little embarrassing. She's like shoo
that's
shoo, so it would have
yeah,
been like, oh
that
hey, well okay, Carrie, well let's you and I go and then come back. But
yeah.
yeah, but there was already
So
so much tension building up here. So
yeah. Speaking of tension building up, we have the next scene, and Miranda is running late for her firm dinner. And Steve knocks on her door, already late. Like, she's already had to have left. And Steve shows up and he's in street clothes, not dressed up at all for the event.
mm-hmm.
And he just tells, she's like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "I returned the suit. I couldn't afford it." She's like, "Well, why didn't you let me pay for it then?" And then he changes the subject. He's like, "Miranda, you need to be with a guy that's more on your level. Being in that store with you, I didn't feel good about myself." And then he pauses and is like, "Look, I think you're an incredible lady, and we know where that's going." And this is like a very
Yeah.
prime example of he got insecure, and rather than trying to get himself to a place where he felt like he could, like, I don't know, like be equal to her, like be on her level, like he said, or what, he throws in the towel. He
Yeah.
said, you know, she says like, "You want to break up with me over a suit? Fuck the suit." And this is one of the only times we really see Miranda like
Get
tearing up.
emotional.
She's getting emotional, and I mean, not gonna lie, that I feel like is Miranda's version of begging.
Yeah,
She,
I mean it was. I mean, she was just being honest though too. Like she's like, if this
yeah,
is what does it, and it's just kind of crazy too because here we are. I mean, it might be what a couple months into them dating. Like he knows she's a successful lawyer. Like he sees her
yeah,
apartment. Like you knew what you were getting into when you met
but
her.
it's like I'm not defending, but I will say I'm sure it's one thing to know that, and it's one thing to experience it. So he was put in a situation where he was getting access to something through her that he otherwise wouldn't have had any access to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way he could have ever afforded a suit like that. And I think that that really solidified for him that there are things within her reach that are outside of his reach. And I don't think
I
that
mean,
sat well with him.
of course not. And I understand that too. It's always just really sad for me to just see that of just like if I want to be with you and you want to be with me and no one's taking advantage of the other person and no one's fucking being wrong or ugly and we're just going off of our feelings, who fucking cares? I've actually said this quite a few times in my relationships. Like, I don't care if you sell fruit on the side of the street. Um, if
As
you're
long
doing
as you're,
something that makes you happy and you're taking care of yourself, I could care fucking less what you do.
yeah.
And if I like you for who you are and you like me for me, you can make it work if that's what you wanted.
Hmm.
So like fuck all the rest.
Yep.
But yeah, like fuck the suit. Fuck the suit. But
Fuck the suit. It wasn't the suit.
it's yeah, it wasn't the suit, but it's what it all stands for. It's just fucking sad. It's fucking
Yeah.
sad to cut a connection over something, that's not essentially bad. It's just a little
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. And she says that. She's like, "So I'm being punished for being successful." He's like, "That's not how I mean it." But he
But
doesn't
that's
say
what it
no.
comes off as. Yeah, I mean, That's what it feels like. And like I said earlier, like that's what you start to, you can't help but start to intrinsically feel that way. And I was just talking about this to my other friend who's in the same boat, independent, you know, successful at what she does, takes care of herself. And then it's like, why do I keep running into the same problems? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I wish I can give you an answer too, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And it just sucks, you know. She ends up having to go to the firm dinner by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she even mentions like looking at all the suits that were there, all the expensive suits that these men had. She started to wonder what was really so wrong with corduroy, anyways.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're like, I don't care what
Yeah.
you're wearing. Like, I wanted you.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be there.
So
So,
in this event, the corduroy suit won.
yeah.
And next scene, we have Charlotte and Wiley Ford for the last time together. And we see that Charlotte literally went from girlfriend to groupie over the course of one evening. She's acting like a waitress for this dude and his friends. When have we ever seen Charlotte do like she's literally doing the whole like, you know, working class thing for this
I was
guy,
about to say,
you
talk about
know?
caste system. Well,
Mm-hmm.
here's the funny part. It's like, okay, you talk this big game, look at hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the
And
first time Charlotte's been with someone, or no, I mean, he's has like an exuberant amount of money. Like
yeah.
as a fucking movie star, you know?
Yeah.
So
Sorry. Somebody was outside my window. I was like, hello. Um
hello, you want to join the podcast?
Don't look at me. Blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah. So she goes
Oh
to sit.
God.
Yeah, it's time for that. So she goes
I'm
to
so
sit.
glad you're saying this. I hate this.
No, I'm gonna make you have to say it. We're not gonna move on until you say
Ah,
it.
all
I'm
right.
just kidding. But he she sits down and he leans over and he's like, "Look, you
I'm not saying that.
okay, we're gonna
Not
be
that
here
there's
all
anything
night."
wrong with this. It's just so ugh. It's just like ugh. I don't
He
know.
says, "Charlene, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go to the restroom, stick your finger in your pussy, come back here and let me smell it." Moment of
Moment of
silence.
silence. We're both like, okay, and it's okay. Here's the weird part. I think this is what pisses me off. It's one thing if he said this to her personally, like it's just the two of them. Remember, we're in a group of people here, and he said this out loud, and everyone fucking heard him. That's disgusting. That's diminishing her to a literal fucking whole. Like that's so embarrassing and that's so disrespectful. Like it's one thing if it was just me and you and we were like fucking slutty drunk and you're like, okay, maybe, you know, that's one thing. What? It's
Okay,
not.
maybe. Wait,
Yeah, it'd be.
what?
I'm not. The only reason why I'm cringy is because it's in front of other people.
Yeah.
If this was a personal conversation, I'd be like, "Where's the bathroom?"
Oh my God. But oh my God, yeah, she just like she has her own little moment of silence and is like, no.
Yeah,
And she says, "I don't think so," and leaves.
yeah,
And he like kind of brushes her off. He's like, and like goes on with his night. And she
yeah,
says, like, I realize after another moment at the top, and I would have become an untouchable.
yeah.
Like, mm, mm.
Mm-mm.
So
Gross.
she is done with him.
Yeah.
And Carrie, on the other hand, okay, so they're so drunk. They're stumbling to hit her apartment. So she ditched Mr. Big at the party, leaves with Jeremiah, goes to another bar and drinks pitchers of margaritas with him. So they're plastered drunk together.
Mm-hmm.
They're singing that like Jeremiah was a
What's a
bullfrog,
bullfrog?
bum bum
Bop,
bum,
bop, bop.
and
Was
then
a
they're
good friend of mine. Love
bum
that
bum
song.
bum, and they're making out for a few seconds and start to walk up the stoop to the one of the doors. Carrie realizes I don't live here, and then they fall off the
I don't live
stairs.
here.
Yeah,
And
and
she goes
then
into the next
to the
one.
next one, and it it's just okay. So taking a moment to kind of like unpack this, I do think that it's very telling that she ends up going with him, and this being the episode about the caste system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that Carrie is successful in her field. She is.
Mm-hmm.
She has
Yeah.
a very successful column in the
Right.
newspaper in a point in time when people really did read newspapers, you know, it was
Right.
pre-social media, all that. And so, even though she is very successful in her field, it doesn't mean anything when she goes to Park Avenue. She's still considered lesser than, just like this
Right.
guy. So, it does
Right.
kind of make sense to me that this is the guy that she ends up going home with because he is within her caste.
Yeah, and they're kind of within the same, like, technically, like, writing falls within the arts. We talk about
Exactly.
this, and he's a
Yeah,
performance artist too. So you kind of stick
they're within the same caste. Yeah.
within their kind of, yeah, exactly.
So it does make sense that she ends up going home with him to kind of like fill the void of like, I'm not enough for Mr. Big, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, next scene we pan over to Samantha and Harvey and Sum for one last time. So we put a pause and a pin on Jeremiah and Carrie as they go up the stairs drunk and go back
Mm-hmm.
to Samantha. And Samantha and Harvey had just finished making love at his place, and he excuses himself to go take a shower. So I'm also here kind of wondering, like, why is Sum still there? It's probably like early in the middle of the
She lives
night.
there.
Like, she lives there. I didn't pick that up. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
when you have someone who's like a full-time nanny, or like
mm-hmm.
anytime you see like a servant or like something like that, typically they'll live there.
Okay.
You That's part of like your compensation.
Okay. Well, let me see. Oh yeah, so right after Harvey goes into the shower, Sum walks in and she sees the condom and she holds the condom in Samantha's face and screams at her like, nasty girl, you dirty cock-sucking whore.
Here's the crazy part. Samantha's been over there quite a few times. What did she think they were doing? Cuddling? As if and this isn't the first girl he's slept with.
Nope.
So like, what's your deal? You know what's going on here.
Yeah, well, she only does it when he's not around.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, she starts to pull off the sheets from Samantha again, but this time Samantha pulls them back, and
Mm-hmm.
then as Harvey walks into the room, Sum throws herself on the
On the
floor,
floor.
uh, and she holds her face and says that I was just trying to change the sheets, but that lady hit me.
That lady hit me.
And Samantha's like dumbfounded. She's like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "How dare you treat Sum that way?" And she's like, "Let me explain." And he's like, "There's no explanation."
Yeah.
And we see Harvey holding Sum to his chest, and they're
Yeah,
both
like
looking at
comforting her.
Samantha, and Sum is smiling as Harvey is kicking Samantha out of his apartment. Yeah.
And then I think that's where we say the whole dim sum thing, right? I think that's actually where that line comes in.
No, it was in the other one.
Was it before? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I thought it was here too, but yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens. Samantha
Yeah.
gets kicked out. Some wins.
Yeah.
You know
She
what's
probably would
weird?
ended up with a husband after this.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if there's such a weird like attraction, but that's the thing, is love starts to complicate everything.
Mhm.
Because like he's been paying her thus far, and the second
Mhm.
you make things involving like relationships and love and marriage, it makes things complicated.
Yeah.
Because
I
at
guess.
the end of the day, some men just want a servant.
Yeah. Well, that's for them to figure out.
Exactly.
Samantha is not a servant, so
Not in the
that definitely
slightest.
wouldn't work with her. But no, yeah, we have Carrie who wakes up with Jeremiah, and it's the morning after. They wake up and they're both still wearing the clothes from the night before.
Yeah.
And they actually wake up to a phone call. The phone's ringing, and when Carrie answers it,
Hmm.
it's Mr. Big. And he doesn't even say hi. He doesn't say anything. He says, "Look, I know what you're really pissed about, and it's just something I've got to do on my own time." And Carrie doesn't say anything. So then he's like, "Okay, well, I fucking love you, all right? I do. It's just a tough thing for me to say because it always seems to get me in trouble whenever I say it." And then he pauses and he says, "Are we okay?"
What a weird setup.
I think he knew he fucked up royally and was trying to band-aid it.
Pacify again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
Yeah, because I fucking love you. You know that. Like,
I've been told that out of spite before, like out of a weren't even whatever it was, but like he's like, and I did love you this whole time. I'm like, no, you didn't. You're just trying to say that to make me feel some kind of way. And I was like, it doesn't work. I was like, none
uh-uh.
of this was ever love. Like, don't even try and
No. And it's
play.
like, don't even try to fucking play, dude. Like, obviously she didn't know that. Obviously. She said it and you didn't say anything, but you it fucking pretended she didn't say anything.
Isn't it interesting though how he came to her because she ran away and didn't say anything? They are the legitimate definition of cat and mouse. It's
Mm,
insane.
they really
I hate
are.
that. I hate that, dude. I hate the fucking push and pull. I hate the games. I hate the cat and mouse. You shouldn't fucking be in the predicament if that's what's going on in your life. You shouldn't have to be. I was just talking about it earlier. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and be like, oh, you didn't fucking text me for like 12 hours. Some women are like, oh, well, I'm not gonna text him for 24. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, just
Proving a point. I'm
it's
just kidding.
dumb. No, it's
I'm
stupid. Like
joking.
I just the pettiness of it all. I'm like, if you're playing these games and it's all this is all it is, it's a fucking game.
Yeah. Don't complain about not having anything substantial if you're playing games.
Right. If you're gonna play into it, like be honest with them. If they just
Yep.
want to play games and notice it and say bye.
Yep. But so Carrie, okay, let's take a moment to appreciate this moment. So over a year, so a year and some change in, Mr. Big finally says I love you over the phone. And when he does it, there is another man in her bed. And she actually puts her hand on his mouth to keep him from saying anything so that he doesn't hear him on the phone. That's
That
pretty
honest,
bad.
I'd be fucking terrified.
You
I'd
know,
be like,
and
no.
yeah, she just says like we're great, we're fine. I'll call you later. And
What
then
the fuck?
hangs up the phone and is like confirms with Jeremiah like did we sleep together? And he's like definitely not. And she's like okay,
Yeah.
good. And she says that she felt like the lowest of the low, but she never told Mr. Big. So Mr. Big never finds out about this ever. And she says that she figured everything before I love you just doesn't count. And I want to call bullshit on that because when she saw him on a lunch date with Julia, that shit did not fly. And it was a lunch date.
Yeah.
It was a lunch date. And that was like
And this was
what?
the
Months in the very
very
beginning,
beginning.
well before I love
Not
you.
even months. Like we were probably talking weeks here. This was way back
Yeah.
when.
Yep.
This was
But
and
no,
that's a hard
she
reality. I hope people understand if you have not discussed exclusivity, if you're people are free to date who they are, if that's what you're into, you have to understand that unless someone specifically says, "Hey, I don't want to date or sleep with any other people." Like,
yep. And yeah, so that's how we end this episode. She says that I never told him that this happened. I figure that everything before I love you just doesn't count. And that's how she ends the episode. She royally fucked up, basically cheated on him, and is not going to say anything about it. And it never gets referenced again.
Because they made out, right?
They made out on the way home. They made out.
You're right. I almost forgot.
They
Oh
made out.
my god.
They did. They did.
No.
And they made out and they slept in the same bed. Granted, he did not insert himself within her or whatever they were going to do.
Still.
I think that's still cheating.
Well, they made out. That's already cheating.
Well, yeah, I mean, like all of it though,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
you know, uh, and I think that the cheating with him, with Jeremiah in this episode started when she said, "I'm here with some guy." Bitch, you said I love you last Friday. That's not some guy. That's the guy you've been seeing for a fucking year and some change. And I really do feel like that's some of the shit that you could get away with back in the day before social media, because had Carrie and Jeremiah known each other from the get-go, had each other on
Mm-hmm.
social media, he would have seen that she was in a relationship with this some guy for like over a year.
Hold on.
Or they might have been, it's complicated.
Not even that. It's so difficult nowadays with that. You could date someone for 2 years and they will never be on your social media.
Damn.
Some people have been victim to this, want to keep your ass a secret.
Damn.
And it's not nice and it's not fun. I don't like that. Like,
Ouch.
especially if you're officially dating. Well, but then I also ran into something actually personally. I ran into something in my last relationship where, and I'm not saying that you should post everything about your life on social media. And what I've actually learned is like it actually can be quite precious. It is kind of hard to put out into the world the things that you're happy with because I feel like people don't always have the best intentions. And so
What do
I've
you mean?
like with negative energy and stuff, like people we forget like having a lot of eyes on you puts yourself subject to like negative energy being put on you because everyone can see your happiness, fake or not, whatever you put into the world, you're subjecting yourself to the views of thousands of people and you don't know if they're going to be malicious with that or not. So with relationships previously, I kept it a lower profile because I was like, I don't want anyone messing with that. I was like, I like this. I don't want anyone fucking with it. Like that's mine, and that wasn't like I'm keeping you a secret on purpose. It was just kind of like I don't want any bad things to happen. I'm like weirdly superstitious in that way too, especially like with social media. I do feel like you should be happy and you should show the world you're happy, but I do think there's like malicious intent sometimes with it and it freaks me out. So, but yeah, but no, so like I'm over here thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I definitely think Carrie would have big on her social media. I don't think he would have her on his. I feel like he's the kind of guy have to have like one post and it's about him. And
Or
then
be
he
one of
just
those
has like
guys that is just like,
bajillion
I'm not on
followers.
social media.
Which is actually not a bad thing, honestly. The
Yeah.
older I get, I'm kind of like, don't have an Instagram, please. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. That way they can just remain an enigma.
Exactly. I don't want to see it.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to
But
see it.
yeah, so this episode ends with Mr. Big finally saying I love you to Carrie.
He said, I fucking love you.
I fucking love you. You know that.
Abso-fucking-lutely. He sure does love the word fucking.
Yeah, I feel
But
that.
I guess that's how he gets his point across. But
Yeah.
half-hearted as it kind of seems, I'm like, okay, there is some validation in that apparently from Carrie. And it's so crazy. Again, we see this theme time and time and time again, how quickly she buckles when he pacifies her.
Or
I mean, it's
breadcrumbs her.
yeah, it's immediate. It's immediate. It's like, yeah, no, we're fine. I'll talk to you later. You were just furious. You were furious for
Well,
weeks.
she's not saying shit because she's got to get this guy out of her apartment
Well, that
immediately.
too. That is too. She also did fuck up, so.
Yeah, like royally, and should have owned up to it. And I'm not going to mention what the other story really is, but we do hear Carrie later in the show mention how when she was a kid, she once cheated on a test and never told anyone, so it didn't matter. So that is something that she
What kind of
does
morality is
kind of
that?
like
Yeah.
go off of. She even goes as far as to say, my friends told on themselves and that they did that and they got in trouble, but I never did and I never got in trouble. And kind of
Because
uses
Carrie's
that to
not
somewhat justify her actions.
she's not a great judge of fucking character, and like
No.
not a great person of value. Like, yeah, we're just learning that too. Oh, wasn't
Yeah.
there I don't know if we've talked about it too, but like on TikTok, there's that whole like every single time Carrie Bradshaw's been absolutely awful. And there's just so many.
Yeah,
There's
really.
so many fucking clips of her just being like disrespectful.
No, seriously.
We'll see. She gets worse. There's one particular season I find her insufferable.
Season 5. It's
Is
season
it
5,
5?
isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
It's at
You know,
Atlantic City is a big
mm,
one for me.
mm.
Yeah.
Atlantic City is triggering for me. Everybody likes to talk about how the meanest thing that Carrie ever did to Charlotte was in asking for money. I mean, you know what? We'll leave it at that.
We'll talk about it, but yeah.
The meanest thing that she ever did was in that fucking episode
That's
over
what
and
I
over again.
feel.
But
That's
we
what
will
I
get there when
feel.
we get
We'll
there.
get there.
So, anyways,
But yeah, so that is
that
season
is
2, episode 10, the
the
caste
caste
system.
system.
We got through that one. Again, harder one. We see the complexities of I love yous. Then we see the end of a relationship with Miranda and Steve. We see Samantha just getting beat, like practically.
Yeah.
Oh God. And
Poor
Charlotte
Samantha.
going against her entire grain, you know.
Yeah. But coming back to it too.
Yeah. Finds herself back. But it's definitely a
Yeah.
weird one. It has a lot of topics.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. But yeah, so we got through that. It's a great episode. We are like what it was last episode, we're halfway through. So we're a little more than
Mhm.
halfway through. We're
In the
18
double
episodes.
digits.
Yeah, 18 episodes this season. So we're creeping along. Creeping along. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're actually getting done. I think season 2 will be done around Christmas if it pans out. So it'd be funny. Like we'll start 3 in the new year, and oh my God, it's
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, so yeah, it's this episode. Then we got
Mm-hmm.
11 and episode 12 coming up. We are going to have our second guest broad on the show. We're super
Guess
excited.
Brad.
I like the idea of keeping it a secret until the
Mm-hmm.
episode. I don't know. It's just been fun. That's just what we've been doing. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is another female comic in the San Antonio scene. And so we're really excited. And she already watches the show like we do. Like, knows it like the back of her hand. I was like, hey, what episode do you want to do? She's like, don't care. I know them all. I was like, pick one. Pick one. So we're super, super, super excited to do that. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. We're excited for that one too. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening, for all the support. I feel our last episode last week was doing really well. I got a lot of feedback in person about it, which was really fun. So
We love
yes,
that.
thank you guys. Love that. You guys talk to us, say things in person, comment what you feel. I love
Yeah.
it. We love
We
it.
wanna
Like
know.
we want to know. It's been a blast so far. I'm glad it's being receptive really well. We're gaining some followers, so thank you guys so much. Like YouTube has been steadily creeping, which makes me really happy. We're at 44. And I know that doesn't sound like a big number, but for a brand new podcast, I'm really proud of it, and I'm really, really, really thankful. So we're super thankful for you guys, for all the subscribes on Spotify, wherever, whatever platform you listen to, YouTube, all that. So, and then people who just enjoy the clips, like, thank you so much. I get that all the time. They're like, I don't watch it, which is fine. I get it. Like, it's not everyone's cup of tea and whatever, but it's like, I love watching your clips. I'm like, good. That's why I post them. We try and post and keep things like relevant, and at least have a glimpse in the banter that we're trying to put out, so. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. We're super excited to keep this going. So thank you so much. We're gonna see you guys next week, like always. So thank you so much. So bye. See you guys
Bye,
next week.
guys. Thank
Bye.
you.